Today I'm going to show you how to magnetize a Necron Ghost Ark into a Doomsday Ark the super easy way. And it's coming right up.
Necrons!
Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. Right, today we are going to have a look at a super easy way to magnetize a Ghost Ark into a Doomsday Ark. I've already made videos on how to fully magnetize this Necron miniature and also an easy way on how to magnetize this miniature. But I know a lot of you don't like using too many magnets and you want it to be as easy as possible. And this video is for you. Now, first of all, of course, we do have to clip all of the pieces off of the sprues and remove all of the mold lines. Not a very nice job, but once it's done, the fun can start. Now personally, I don't glue the driver into the seat. I make the seat but don't glue it into the actual miniature, and the reason for this is for painting purposes. It's just easier to paint that driver and then glue him in afterwards. I also don't glue some of the top sections which go over the back driver unit, again for painting purposes. I've glued together the spines, I have glued together the warriors, but actually you're not going to be using warriors in this video. You're going to use those warriors for spare bits, for maybe other conversions and other work in the future. I have glued the big gun together and also the Gauss flayers. In my previous video I showed you how to magnetize the Gauss flayers, but actually we're not going to do that. We're going to make this super easy and we're just going to glue the Gauss flayers into position. Now, one key thing here to remember when gluing the spines together is the spines are designed to go only one way. If you put it the wrong way, then there's a bit of a gap there between the joins, so make sure that the spines are glued into position. We're going to glue the gun holder into position and we're going to glue the guns as well. Glue all that together. Now, in my imagery here, of course, I don't have the Gauss flayers glued because, of course, I've magnetized mine. But to make it super easy, that's what you would do. So now we're going to have a look at the front of this miniature because there's two pieces that go there. One for the Ghost Ark and then another one for the Doomsday Ark. Now, potentially you could get away with not magnetizing the front of this miniature. You could just use the Doomsday Cannon cap and just glue it into position. That would work with both miniatures. However, it does mean that when you take the Doomsday Cannon out, you're going to expose the magnets that we put into place. If you're happy for that just to be like that, then that would definitely be the easiest thing to do. Or potentially you could have a look in your bits box and see if you could find something else that you could just magnetize into position when the gun's not into place. That would make it even easier. Now, if we glued the Ghost Ark one into position, it means that when we put the Doomsday Cannon in place, the Doomsday Cannon is going to be shooting at that front section. So we're definitely going to have to magnetize this piece just to make the model, well, make any sense. So first of all, we're going to put a magnet into the little Doomsday Ark cover. So what we do here is put a small piece of green stuff into it. You don't have to do this, but I find it makes it a lot easier. And then we're going to super glue a 5 by 1mm magnet into place. This is again an N52 magnet, quite a strong magnet. We're just going to super glue it into place and let it dry. We're now going to take the front of the Ghost Ark, the first spine, and we're going to put some green stuff in the hole. The idea is we're going to put a magnet onto this green stuff. Now, we don't want the green stuff to move, so I use a tool and I just push it up into the plastic just to make sure that it's nice and set into position. Now, this green stuff takes about 3 hours to dry, but before it dries we're going to magnetize it. I'm going to use a 5 by 2mm magnet. So this is a thicker magnet, and of course that makes it a stronger magnet. In my previous video I was using two 5 by 1mm magnets glued on top of each other because I didn't have any 5 by 2mm magnets, but now I do. So we're going to use this one. So some super glue on the magnet and then push it into place, of course making sure it's the opposite polarity to the Doomsday cap which we've previously done. Now, the Doomsday cap magnet isn't actually going to reach the magnet in this section. We can't really do a great deal about that, But what I can tell you is it fits into place quite well anyway without the magnet. But what I can tell you is the magnet does help it stick. There is a little bit of sort of magnetism there to keep it into place. Now, to make sure the magnet is deep enough in the spine, you just take the Ghost Ark front section and you push it into place, and that allows you to obviously get the right depth. So now all we have to do is put a magnet into the Ghost Ark section. I'm going to use a 5x1mm magnet because I don't want this to be too powerful, don't want it to be too hard to get out of position. Now the magnet doesn't actually fit into the hole as it stands. You just have to cut a little bit of plastic away just to widen the hole. Once you've done that, then all you have to do is fill the hole with some green stuff and then push the magnet into place until it's flush. We're now going to have a look at the back section of this miniature. Before we glue it to the driver section, we're going to put a magnet in the top piece where the Doomsday Cannon is going to go. It's going to be really difficult to put this magnet in if you glue all the spines together onto that piece beforehand. So I just take some green stuff, that's an epoxy, which you can buy very cheaply on eBay. You just mix it together and then it goes hard, and I make it into a little tube, and I'm just going to push this into the hole. I don't want too much green stuff that the gun doesn't sort of fit into position, but my aim here is to make the magnet flush with the top section of that join. I'm going to use a 5x2mm N52 strength magnet, a nice strong thick magnet, and I'm going to super glue it into the green stuff, and I'm going to make it nice and flush. Now you may find once everything is dry that green stuff just comes off of the plastic. It's quite common, actually I'll be surprised if it didn't. Once that happens, all you have to do is get some super glue and super glue the green stuff back into position onto the plastic. All we have to do now is put a magnet into the back of the Doomsday Cannon. So all we do is we use a 5x1mm magnet, and we're going to use some green stuff to help hold it into position, and of course magnetize it with a reverse polarity. Now this Doomsday Cannon is going to go into position upside down as such. You've got the little joining wires which would normally be in the up position when you put it at the bottom of the miniature, but because we're putting it at the top of the miniature, I'm going to rotate that so those wires are downwards. It will give it more support and it will just look better. Right, that is all dry and our gun is magnetizing very nicely. Now we are going to glue the spines to the back section where the driver sits. Right, that is all done. So now we've got the gun, which is magnetized into the top section for when we want a Doomsday Ark. We've also got the front section there for the Doomsday Ark. And then we can take that Doomsday Cannon out, take off the front section, and then just put it into the gap where the gun normally goes, and then the Ghost Ark front goes on. So all that's left now is to glue the pieces of plastic onto the spines, and we're done. We've got a Doomsday Ark and a Ghost Ark made really easy by just switching out the gun and the front section. Now of course I've still got to do the base, and actually I've got a really good way to make these bases, these very fragile flying stems, really secure in this miniature. And I'll link you up to how to do that right there. And if you want to see the other two Ghost Ark magnetizing tutorials that I've made, then there they are for you to watch as well.